Okay, ladies, so I'm going to read through the beginning of book 23 of the Odyssey, and I will start on page, I don't know, I think it's 429, if you could follow along. Okay, the old nurse went upstairs, exulting, with knees toiling the patter of slapping feet to tell the mistress of her lord's return, and cried out by the lady's pillow, "Wake, wake, dear child! Penelope, come down. See with your own eyes what all these years you longed for. Odysseus is here. Oh, in the end he came, and he has killed your suitors, killed them all who made this house a bordel and ate his cattle and raised their hands against your son." Penelope said, "Dear nurse, the gods have touched you. They can put chaos in the clearest head or bring a lunatic down to earth. Good sense you always had. They've touched you. What is this mockery you wake me up to tell me, breaking in on my sweet spell of sleep? I had not dozed away so tranquilly since my lord went to war on that ill wind to Ilion. Oh, leave me, back downstairs. If any other of my women came babbling things like these to startle me, I'd see her flogged out of the house. Your old age spares you that." Eurycleia said, "Would I play such a trick on you, dear child? It is true, true as I tell you, he has come. That stranger they were baiting was Odysseus. Telemachus knew it days ago. Cool head, never to give his father away till he paid off those swollen dogs." The lady, in her heart's joy, now sprang up with sudden, dazzling tears and hugged the old one, crying out, "But try to make it clear. If he came home in secret, as you say, could he engage them single-handed? How? They were all down there, still in the same crowd." To this Eurycleia said, "I did not see it. I knew nothing. Only I heard the groans of men dying. We sat still in the inner rooms, holding our breath and marveling, shut in, until Telemachus came to the door and called me, your own dear son, sent this time by his father. So I went out and found Odysseus erect, with his men littering the floor this way and that. If you had only seen him, it would have made your heart glow hot, a lion splashed with mire and blood. But now the cold corpses are gathered at the gate, and he has cleansed his hall with fire and brimstone, a great blaze. Then he sent me here to you. Come with me. You may both embark this time for happiness together, after pain, after long years. Here is your prayer, your passion. Grant it. Your own Lord lives. He is at home. He found you safe. He found his son. The suitors abused your house, but he has brought them down." Okay, so let me stop there on the third page and go back and review a little bit. So remember at the end of book 22, this is where all the suitors were killed in book 22. And at the very end, we talked about how Odysseus had the bad serving women take out the bodies, clean the room, refresh, use incense, clean everything. And then he was ready for Penelope to come and see him, finally. So he sends Eurycleia, the old nurse, up to get her. So this is the interaction we're seeing here in these first couple pages, where Eurycleia is excited. She knows for a fact that Odysseus is back. She has seen him and his scar. She is excited, and she runs, wakes up Penelope out of her sleep, and tells her he's here. He's killed the men. He's done what he's need to do. He's taken back over his home. And she is not buying it, I guess, right? She says, quote, "The gods have touched you." If you look at the line here that I have in a square, meaning like, you've gone mad, lady, you've lost your mind. The gods have touched you with insanity, basically. Why are you telling me this? Why are you saying these crazy stories? And then on this page, Eurycleia pleads with her, like, why would I do that to you? Why would I trick you? Why would I tell you lies? And then Penelope springs up, right? So now she has hope. So before she was cautious and concerned and disbelieving, and now she's like, oh, yes, oh my gosh, he's home, and she's excited. but she's wondering how he was able to kill all these men and how all of this has happened. And, my part yesterday when I was talking about how he was splashed with blood and how he was the ultimate hero and how amazing he looked as a strong man. Eurycleia explains all of that and explains how he has been cleaning and waiting and ready for his woman to come back down to him. Okay, so let's start up again over here on 4. The attentive lady said, "Do not lose yourself in this rejoicing. Wait, you know how splendid that return would be for us, how dear to me, dear to his son and mine. But no, it is not impossible. Your notion must be wrong. Some gods have killed the suitors. A god, sick of their arrogance and brutal malice, for they honored no one living, good or bad, who ever came their way. Blind young fools, they tasted death for it. But the true person of Odysseus, he lost his home, died for Achaia." The old nurse sighed. "How queer the way you talk. Here he is, large as life, by his own fire, and you deny he ever will get home? Child, you always were mistrustful, but there is one sure mark I can tell you, that scar left by the boar's tusk long ago. I recognized it when I bathed his feet, and would have told you, but he stopped my mouth, forbade me in his craftiness. Come down. I stake my life on it. He is here. Let me die in agony if I lie." Penelope said, "Dear nurse, though you have your wits about you, still it is hard not to be taken in by the immortals. Let us join my son, though, and see the dead and the strange one who killed them." Okay, so it's getting good. So she was first skeptical, then she was super excited, and now Penelope is back to being skeptical again, right? Think about your emotions when something unbelievable happens. You're hopeful, but you don't want to get hurt, and your disbelief, but you want it to be true, right? All of these emotions she's going back and forth with. And her last kind of thought is being a skeptic, even though Eurycleia talks about the scar, which seems to be everybody's like biting proof that it is Odysseus. So she kind of gives in a little bit and says, we'll go down and see my son and whoever this strange person is. So she is going to go down and check it out. All right, so let's look at the next lines here. Oops, sorry. All right, here we go. She turned then to descend the stair, her heart in tumult. Had she better keep her distance and question him, her husband? Should she run up to him, take his hand, kiss him now? Crossing the door-sill, he sat down at once in firelight against the nearest hall, across the room from the Lord Odysseus. There, leaning against a pillar, sat a man, and never lifted up his eyes, but only waited for what his wife would say when she had seen him. And she for a long time sat deathly still in wonderment. For sometimes as she gazed, she found him, yes, clearly like her husband, but sometimes blood and rags were all she saw. Telemachus's voice came to her ears. "Mother, cruel mother, do you feel nothing, drawing yourself apart this way from father? Will you not sit with him and talk and question him? What other woman could remain so cold? Who shuns her lord? And he come back to her from war and wandering after 20 years? Your heart is heart and flint, and never changes." Penelope answered, "I am stunned, child. I cannot speak to him. I cannot question him. I cannot keep my eyes upon his face. If he really is Odysseus, truly home, beyond all doubt, we two shall know each other better than you or anyone. There are secret signs we know, we two." A smile came now to the lips of the patient hero Odysseus, who turned to Telemachus and said, "Peace, let your mother test me at her leisure. Before long she will see and know me best. These tatters, dirt, all that I'm caked with now, make her look hard at me and doubt me still. As to this massacre, we must see the end. Whoever kills one citizen and has no force of armed men at his back, had better take himself abroad by night and leave his kin. Well, we cut down the flower of Ithaca. the mainstay of the town. Consider that. Okay, so let's stop here for a second. I'm getting a little too far ahead. So she comes down, right? Picture this. He's in the room. He's standing at the far side of the room. She comes down the stairs, enters, sees him excitedly, unsure, afraid of a trick, and she sits right by the stairs, far across the room from him. And she's curious, cautious. And of course, Telemachus already knows it's his father and already has bonded with him again. And he's like, come on, you're cold. Go, be in love with him again. Like, kiss him, hug him, greet him. And she is careful. Notice where I have it noted here where it says about this secret sign. So she says, don't you worry, son. We have a sign. I will know it is him when I know it's him, basically. Odysseus smiles at that because he also knows that they have a sign. He is confident. He is just letting her adjust, right? So then he begins to speak about how we're going to be in some trouble here because we've killed basically all of these princes, 118 men from the town and neighboring towns. So we have some problems we have to deal with here. All right, so I'm going to pick up here with Telemachus. Telemachus replied respectfully, Dear father, enough that you yourself study the danger, foresighted in combat as you are. They say you have no rival. We three shall stand ready to follow you and fight. I say, for what our strength avails, we have the courage. And the great tactician Odysseus answered, Good. Here is our best maneuver as I see it. Bathe, you three, and put fresh clothing on. Order the women to adorn themselves, and let our admirable harper choose a tune for dancing, some light-hearted air, and strum it. Anyone going by or any neighbor will think it is a wedding feast he hears. These deaths must not be cried about the town till we can slip away to our own woods. We'll see that weapon then Zeus puts in our hand. They listened attentively and did his bidding, bathed and dressed afresh, and all the maids adorned themselves. Then Phemos the harper took his polished shell and plucked the strings, moving the company to desire for singing, for the sway and beat of dancing, until they made the manor hall resound with gaiety of men and grace of women. All right, so let me review this here. So what we have here is Odysseus and Telemachus kind of making a plan. We know he loves a plan. So he says the best idea is let's fake a wedding. Let's pretend that the queen has picked a man, a suitor to wed, and that they are having a wedding party. We need a distraction so that we can think about how we're going to deal with all the death and murder that's happened in this house and the idea that I'm back to Ithaca. Okay, great. So keeping going. Do I have another page? No. Okay. So what we have here. Anyone passing on the road would say, Married at last, I see, the queen so many courted, sly, cattish wife. She would not keep, not she, the lord's estate until he came home. So travelers' thoughts might run, but no one guessed the truth. Great-hearted Odysseus, home at last, was being bathed now by Eurynome, and rubbed with golden oil, and clothed again in a fresh tunic and a cloak. Athena lent him beauty head to foot. She made him taller and massive too, with crisping hair and curls like petals of wild hyacinths, but all red golden. Think of gold infused on a silver craftsman, whose fine art Hephaestus taught him, or Athena, one whose work moves to delight. Just so she lavished beauty over Odysseus's head and shoulders. He sat then in the same chair by the pillar, facing his silent wife, and said, Strange woman, the immortals of Olympus made you harder than any. Who else in the world would keep aloof as you do from her husband if he returned to her from years of trouble, cast on his own land in the 20th year? Nurse, make up a bed for me to sleep on. Her heart is iron in her breast. Penelope spoke to Odysseus now. She said, Strange man, you are. This is no pride in my part, nor scorn for you. Not even wonder. Merely, I know so well how he appeared boarding the ship for